Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Dungeon Lore series. In this series, I hope to explain the origins of each dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV, and maybe expand a bit on things you might not know. This episode's dungeon is the Copperbell Mines, the third accessible dungeon in the main scenario quest. Long ago, much before the current times of Eorzea, the legendary Thorn dynasty of Ul'dah ruled over the Thanalan region, with the then Sultan Baldric Thorn leading with an iron fist. During this time, the Copperbell Mines held rich deposits of minerals and valuable materials, which within the Ul'dah populace were in high demand, due to the city being the home of goldsmithing and merchantry. To aid in the efficient recovery of these minerals, Ul'dah had enslaved a large number of Hekatonkayas, giant humanoid-like creatures with enormous strength, by using enchanted helmets seemingly imbued with a spell to control them. Sometime after this was implemented, however, the giants mysteriously broke free of their restraints and began to revolt against their slavers, driving Ul'dah out of the mines. Baldric Thorn, being the leader of Ul'dah and feeling the pressure of its citizens, ordered that the mines should be collapsed to trap the Hekatonkayas within them, or otherwise to crush or suffocate them. At the time, this appeared to have been successful, as no immediate attempt was made by the giants to revolt further against their previous masters. This, coinciding with Copperbell Mines appearing to run dry of the precious minerals, meant that no one was willing or even curious as to the fate of the giants, and the subject was put to rest. During the 7th Umbral era, the entrepreneurs known as Amagina and Sons sought to reopen the mines for a personal venture, believing that there may still be great as yet undiscovered veins of minerals to be had by scouring the mines. However, their attempts to dig yet further into the mines uncovered the thought-to-be long-dead Hekatonkayas once more, who had against all odds survived their 300-year incursion within the mines. And now, fueled with a 3-century-long hatred and believing the new miners to be remnants of their former masters, the giants begin to revolt and attack furiously, claiming that never again will they be slaves. This, as is the trend by now, causes Ul'dah to request help from adventurers to help put down the giants' revolt, requesting they venture into the mines to do so. The party arrives in the mines and begins travelling down the mine shafts, into a small elevator and out onto a large open area, with many scaffolds and a side path, showing the scale of the once fruitful mining operation. Along the way, the party encounters nothing more than Spriggans and Koblins, inhabiting the mines since they were abandoned. That is, until passing halfway down the open area, where a Hekatonkaya breaks open the nearby wall and immediately attacks the players. Once handled, the party continues over some of the scaffolds and bridges, fighting more Spriggans along with some lightning sprites, arriving at the far side of the same area, where they have to collect small pouches of fire sand to blast holes in coming blockages and proceed. After they destroy the first wall, they arrive at another open space, known as the Screaming Dark. Here they are accosted by a plethora of Spriggans and a few flambeaux, which attempt to self-destruct if not handled quickly. Eventually, another giant appears by the name of Kotos. He does not speak to the party, but merely attacks them similar to the previous giant. Once the party defeats him, they obtain a key which opens the adjacent gate and proceed to another elevator, descending further still into the mines. The party finds themselves in a room with 2 connecting side rooms, where they defeat more enemies, including some blasting caps that source the fire sand the party needs to proceed. After blasting the second wall, the party turns the corner, encountering a large ball of Icarus ire, which is practically invulnerable even to 4 adventurers. The party generates blasting caps from the nearby device, the explosions of which separate the use enough eventually to be damaged regularly, allowing the party to move on. When the party proceeds through this tunnel, there is a noticeable difference in the terrain, with the walls and ceilings becoming more crystalline and blue-tinted, and heading down the tunnel shows there is even an abundance of water, with a waterfall flowing into the cave. The party encounters somewhat different enemies here, living fossils being crustacean-like creatures, and pit hipposurfs, 4-legged creatures resembling a fiendish dog. The party continues on, defeating these last sets of enemies, when they finally arrive at the Cold Throne. Here, an enormous Hecatonkaya bursts through the wall by the name of Gygus the Great, and roars out loud that the giants will never again be slaves to their former masters, and that the masters must pay. During the fight, he breaks open nearby walls, freeing his other giant companions who then attempt to again break more walls to let loose a large amount more if not dealt with quickly. Upon defeat, Gygus the Great falls to the ground and vanishes back into the ether once more. And that concludes the lore of the Copperbell Mines. A small footnote I'd like to make is that I do wish the Hecatonkaya's lore was fleshed out just a little bit more in Final Fantasy XIV, as they seem to be confined mostly to dungeons and less significant fates. One other thing as well that I'd like to mention is that for this video and in the future, I'll try and have footage in the dungeon with a synced party instead of just me, for a more sort of authentic experience, as if you were doing the dungeon for the first time. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel to see more. I'll see you next time for Halatali.